The 1905 birthday honours for the British Empire were announced on the 30th of June to celebrate the birthday of Edward VII on the 9th of November. The recipients of honours are displayed here as they were styled before the new honour and arranged by honour, with classes and then divisions as appropriate. Personal aide-de-camp: Lieutenant His Royal Highness Prince Arthur F. PA of Connaught, K.G. CVO 7, Hussars. Aide-de-camp: Lieutenant Colonel and Honorary Colonel Baptist Johnston Barton, commanding the 5th Battalion, the Royal Inniskilling Fusiliers. Lieutenant Colonel and Honorary Colonel William Cook Collis, C.M.G., commanding the 9th Battalion, the King's Royal Rifle Corps. Lieutenant Colonel and Honorary Colonel George O'Callaghan Westrop, commanding the Clare Royal Garrison Artillery. Order of the Bath. Knight Grand Cross of the Order of the Bath Military Division, His Imperial Highness the Prince Arisugawa of Japan. CB General Sir Edward Gascoigne Bulwer, K. CB General Sir James MacLeod Bannatyne Fraser Titler, K. CB Indian Army. General Sir John Luther Vaughan, K. CB Indian Army. Lieutenant General and Honorary General the Honourable Sir David McDowell Fraser, K.C.B. Royal Artillery. General Sir Richard Thomas Farron, K.C.B. General Lord Alexander George Russell, K.C.B. Knight Commander of the Order of the Bath Military Division, Vice Admiral de Haute-Beauce-Sanquet. Vice Admiral Sir Charles Carter Drury, K.C.S.I. Vice Admiral Harry Tremenhere Grenfell, C.M.G. Vice Admiral George Lambert Atkinson Willis. Rear Admiral the Honourable Ashton Gore Curzon Howe, C.V.O. C.B.C. M.G. Lieutenant General and Honorary General Sir Edward Stanton, K.C.M.G. C.B. Royal Engineers. General the Honourable Robert Rollo, C.B. Lieutenant General and Honorary General Horace William Montague, C.B. Royal Engineers. Major General and Honorary Lieutenant General George Bryan Millman, C.B. Surgeon General Charles McDonough, C.B. Major General and Honorary Lieutenant General George Samuel Young, C.B. Lieutenant General Alexander George Rost, C.B. Indian Army. Lieutenant General Charles Richard Pennington, C.B. Indian Army. General Sir Henry Bassett Valdebathe Bart. Civil Division Philip Watts, ESQF, RS Director of Naval Construction. Sir Guy Douglas Arthur Fleetwood Wilson, C.B. Assistant Under Secretary of State and Director of Army Finance. Sir Clement Lloyd Hill, K.C.M.G. C.B. Reginald MacLeod, ESQ, C.B. Companion of the Order of the Bath Military Division, Centenary of the Crimean War, Major General and Honorary Lieutenant General John Wimborne, Laurie, C.B. Lieutenant General Thomas Henry Pakenham. Lieutenant General and Honorary General Henry Ralph Brown. Lieutenant General Gaspard Le Marchant Upper Royal Artillery. Major General and Honorary Lieutenant General the Honourable Somerset John Gough Calthorpe. Major General George Tito Bryce. Major General and Honorary Lieutenant General the Honourable Bernard Matthew Ward. Honorary Major General George Harrington Hawes, retired pay. Honorary Major General Henry Butler, retired pay. Honorary Major General Sir Edward William Blackett, Bart, retired pay. Other Major General John Stratford Collins, Inspector General of Volunteers, India. Surgeon General William Launcelot Gubbins, M.V.O. Principal Medical Officer, Western Command, India. Major General Ernest de Brath, C.I.E. Indian Army, Secretary, Military Department, Government of India. Colonel Richard Kirby Ridgway, V.C. Indian Army. Colonel Albert Edward O'Mahony, Commanding Regimental District. Colonel Ernest Elliott Markwick, late Army Ordnance Department, Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel Edward Bruce, Indian Army. Colonel George Barker, Inspector of Royal Engineers, Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel Robert Alexander Wahab, C.I.E. half-pay, Royal Engineers. Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel John Willoughby Astley Myshall, half-pay, Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel Harry Heptinstall Roseheath, Indian Army. Colonel Edward Reginald Courtney, Colonel, General Staff, Welsh and Midland Command. Colonel George Fitzherbert Brown, D.S.O. Colonel Henry Spencer Wheatley, Indian Army Brigade Commander, India. Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel Thomas Charles Playdell Cally, M.V.O. 1st Life Guards. Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel William Pulteney, D.S.O. Scots Guards. Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel Richard Lloyd Payne, D.S.O. half-pay. Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel Edward Cecil Bethune, half-pay. Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel George William Dean, Indian Army. Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel John William Hogg, C.I.E. Indian Army. Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel Oswald Claude Radford, C.I.E. Indian Army. Colonel Frederick Spencer Rob M.Y.O. half-pay. Colonel Henry Alfred Walsh, Chief Recruiting Staff Officer, London Recruiting District. Colonel Herbert Mullally, Deputy Quartermaster General in India. Colonel William Robert Robertson, D.S.O. Assistant Director of Military Operations, Headquarters. Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel Duncan Campbell Carter, Royal Artillery. Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel Granville George Algernon Egerton Alexandra, Princess of Wales's own. Colonel Fred Smith, C.M.G., Army Veterinary Department Principal Veterinary Officer, South Africa. Lieutenant Colonel Neil Douglas Findlay, Royal Artillery. Civil Division Honorary Commander Charles Edward Haley Chadwick Keeley, Royal Naval Reserve, K.C. Colonel James Stevenson, A.D.C. 9th Lanarkshire Volunteer Rifle Corps. Colonel the Most Honourable Charles Stewart, Marquess of Londonderry, K.G. CVO, D.C. 2nd Durham Oil Garrison Artillery. Lieutenant Colonel and Honorary Colonel James Digby Leggard, the Yorkshire Royal Garrison Artillery. Lieutenant Colonel and Honorary Colonel the Right Honourable Robert George, Lord Windsor, Worcestershire Imperial Yeomanry. Lieutenant Colonel and Honorary Colonel Frederick Natush Maude, Hampshire Royal Engineers. Lieutenant Colonel and Honorary Colonel William Coates, Royal Army Medical Corps, Northern Command. Lieutenant Colonel and Honorary Colonel Richard Pilkington, 2nd Volunteer Battalion, the Prince of Wales's Volunteers. Henry Babington Smith, ESQ, C.S.I. Lawrence Nuns Gillimard, ESQ. William Russell, ESQ. Colonel David Bruce, F.R.S. Hugh James O'Byrne, ESQ. Gerald Henry Fitzmaurice, ESQ, C.M.G. The Honourable William Napier Bruce. The Honourable Thomas Henry William Pelham. Hugh Lloyd Roberts, ESQ. Major Edward Gilbert Clayton. The Reverend Edmund Warr, M.V.O. D.D. Order of Merit. Field Marshal Sir George Stuart White, CBA, CSI, CMG, CIE, CVO, V, C. Admiral Sir John Arbuthnot Fisher, CB Sir Richard Claverhouse Jeb, M.P. Sir Lawrence Alma Tadima, R.A. George Meredith, ESQ. William Holman Hunt, ESQ. Order of St. Michael and St. George, Knight Grand Cross of the Order of St. Michael and St. George Admiral Baron Herman von Sporn, and Vice Admiral François Ernest Founder, in recognition of the services on the International Commission of Inquiry into the North Sea Incident. Knight Commander of the Order of St. Michael and St. George, the Right Honourable Lord Plunket, K.C.V.O. Governor and Commander-in-Chief of the Colony of New Zealand. Everard Ferdinand Imthurn, ESQ, CBC, MG, Governor and Commander-in-Chief of the Colony of Fiji and His Majesty's High Commissioner for the West and Pacific. William Thomas Taylor, ESQ, C. MG, Resident General for the Federated States of the Malay Peninsula. John James Graham, ESQ, C. MG, Secretary to the Law Department of the Colony of the Cape of Good Hope. Rear Admiral His Serene Highness Prince Louis Alexander of Battenburn, CB, CVOA. DC Colonel Charles Moore Watson, late REC. BC, MG, for services in connection with the St. Louis exhibition. Malcolm Milraith, ESQ, C. MG, Judicial Advisor to His Highness the Khedive of Egypt. Apollo Kati-Kiro of Uganda. Monsieur André Eugene Henry Solange Bowden, Minister in the French Diplomatic Service, for services in connection with the International Commission of Inquiry into the North Sea Incident. Companion of the Order of St. Michael and St. George Edward John Cameron, ESQ, Administrator of the Island of St. Vincent. Herbert Cecil Slolev, ESQ, Resident Commissioner, Basutoland. George van der Lerfides, ESQ, C.B. of the Colonial Office. George William Johnson, ESQ, M.A. of the Colonial Office. Alan O'Brien George William Pendleton, ESQ, Commissioner of Railways of the State of South Australia. Widnim Francis Widnim Fosbury, ESQ, Senior Divisional Commissioner, Protectorate of Southern Nigeria. William Thomas Prout, ESQ, M.B., Principal Medical Officer, Colony of Sierra Leone. John Eaglesome, ESQ, Director of Public Works of the Protectorate of Northern Nigeria. James Wilson Robertson, ESQ, Ul.D., late Commissioner of Agriculture and Dairying of the Dominion of Canada. Henry Birchenough, ESQ, for services as Special Commissioner to inquire into and report upon the position and future prospects of British trade in South Africa. Captain John Percy Chirnside, of Werribee, in the state of Victoria. George Earl Welby, ESQ, His Majesty's Minister Resident and Consul General at Bogota. Lieutenant Colonel and Brevet Colonel Robert Alexander Wahab, REC, IE, for services in connection with the delimitation of the Aden frontier. Herbert Edward White, ESQ, MA, His Majesty's Consul at Tangier. Willoughby Maycock, ESQ, Superintendent of the Treaty Department of the Foreign Office. Major Arthur Lyndon Bell, Deputy Assistant Quartermaster General, Department of the Chief of the General Staff of the Army. George Douglas Smith, ESQ, Treasurer of the Uganda Protectorate. Roger Casement, ESQ, late His Majesty's Consul in the Congo Free State. Eustace Corbett, ESQ, Procureur General to His Highness the Khedive of Egypt. Monsieur Louis-Georges Robert Chaudron de Courcelles, Monsieur François-Augustin Hubert Averill de Gregialt and Monsieur Richard William Martin, for services in connection with the International Commission of Inquiry into the North Sea Incident. Cavaliere G. Pestalozza, of the Italian Consular Service. Royal Victorian Order, Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order Reginald Balliol, Viscountshire, K.C.B. K.C.V.O. Deputy Governor and Constable of Windsor Castle. Lieutenant General Sir John Denton Pinkston French, K.C.B. K.C.M.G., commanding the Aldershot Army Corps. Knight Commander of the Royal Victorian Order Sir Jacob Wilson, Honorary Director of the Royal Agricultural Society of England. Commander of the Royal Victorian Order Colonel the Honourable John Townshend Stauben, Commanding Grenadier Guards. Colonel Sir Henry Seymour Rawlinson, Bart. C.B., Commandant of the Staff College. Colonel Inigo Richmond Jones, C.B., commanding Scots Guards. Colonel Alfred Edward Codrington, CB1, commanding Coldstream Guards. Edward Richard Henry, ESQ, C.SI, Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police. Colonel Gerald Charles Kitson, C.MG, Commandant of the Royal Military College, Sandhurst. Imperial Service Order.